Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times calls this movie engaging entertainment with some big laughs and a sort of warm goofiness. Richard Schickel of Time magazine says, "There's much more here than tall guy, short guy jokes." And Janet Maslin of the New York Times says this is the sort of movie that seems to be made of styrofoam. It's instantly disposable, but it won't quickly disappear. On this episode of Ruined Childhoods, we decide the fate of twins.
Sequel. Reboot. Which one will it be?
It's the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ruined Childhoods. I am Dan Wiener, one of your hosts, and with me is my award-winning brother and co-host.
Stop.
Yes.
Hey, it's me. It's like when they announced that we had won this podcast award, I could not stop laughing. And what's funny is like this podcast is about immigrant and refugee youth.
Yes.
My first podcast was about erotic fan fiction.
That's right. Well, everyone's got to start somewhere. You know, James Cameron was making schlock with Roger Corman long before he was king of the world. So
this is true. This is very true. And exploring the depths of the sea. And also, I want to take this moment to mention that, even though we're only a few episodes in on Ruined Childhoods, this isn't even the latest and newest podcast that I've started. Dan, you don't even know about this yet. You don't even know about this. I'm
learning about it with everybody else.
Louise, who is my other podcast counterpart, we have the podcasts I Have a Great Idea, But I'll Never Do It, and Louise at Beaver. And now we have a brand new, it's short. They're like 2-minute episodes.
Oh.
It's a show called Got It. And it's a like fast-paced wordplay game show podcast. And it's called Got It. And it's hitting the airwaves currently. It's available on some platforms right now, not all of them. So that's how new it is. So
I'm going to check this out.
you can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts.
Hey.
I think there are a few other ones.
Got it.
It's just really fun and goofy. Anyway,
yeah,
but that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about twins. Ivan
Reitman directed it, 1988. And
that's right.
John, as I was reminiscing about seeing it in the theater, I remembered it being a family film that we saw, and you were 5.5.
Right.
What do you remember as a 5.5-year-old going to see twins?
I mean, I remember watching this movie a zillion times as a kid. Like, yeah. I could not tell you what the first experience was like, but I certainly was not aware when I was 5.5 what a beaker of semen looked like.
You had never heard of a sperm milkshake before.
No, that was all new to me. The more I watched it as an adult, I realized more and more. And I was like, oh, got it. Never realized what that was all about before.
Yeah.
But you remember the things like Born to Be Bad and, those fun moments. And Danny DeVito shouting $5 million in his weird house.
Tonight is your night, bro.
Them eating nuked food. Those are the things that I remember.
Dumping the cheese onto the was it the lasagna?
The takeout. It was takeout
or
eggplant parm
parmesan?
or something.
Yeah.
And then I like nuked food. It's such a delightful, memorable film. I feel like had it been done any differently, it could have just been awful. Just awful.
Yeah. Well,
there's so many weird things about it that I'm just like, wait a second, what?
So, I mean, well, first of all, the concept, which we'll review if you're not familiar or if it's a hazy memory from the past. So basically the concept was a movie poster of Danny
and it's a
DeVito.
very memorable poster.
Yeah, like Danny DeVito next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're wearing identical suits. And I feel like in one of the posters they were wearing sunglasses, and one he's Danny DeVito's leaning on him.
Right. Yeah.
But it was just the idea, the concept that Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who as of 1988, all of his big films had been action films. And
Right.
in thinking back to what he had done the years prior, I really don't think I feel like his kind of box office draw power was going down. I don't remember Raw Deal or Red Heat being that popular. I guess he had the Running Man, I think was pretty successful. But Terminator was in 1984, Commando was in 85. And
Was Terminator 2 90, 89?
91.
91. Wow.
91.
Okay.
Yeah, and Total Recall was 90.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
Schwarzenegger, as was Kindergarten Cop, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yes, we will. Another
I don't even
Ivan
wanna-
Reitman Arnold collab.
The trilogy, the trilogy with
Junior?
with Junior, yeah, which
Yeah.
we may not talk about really ever.
Well,
again.
it's worthy of bringing up as being the kind of follow up to Twins, where it's hey, this worked pairing the two of them together. Let's do it again.
Well, and somewhat thematically similar because it involves this radical experiment involving
Sure.
pregnancy. It's just it's just
Okay.
getting Arnold Schwarzenegger pregnant.
Yeah, that movie is twisted. But as
Yeah,
is this
but-
one.
As is Twins. So the concept is that in I guess it would have been the early 1960s.
Yeah, about that.
I think I want to say early 1960s. There was in the deep recesses of this New Mexico research facility. It's it was like Area 52. Down deep below the surface of the planet. There was this experiment conducted to create, and really a Hitlerian, if you will, experiment to create and that has nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Austrian nationality, by the way.
Sure.
Which actually it was funny because this was the film. One of the original titles for it was The Experiment. And
Right.
They changed it because Arnold is Austrian. So
Yeah. Twins is much better.
But it was this experiment to create the perfect person.
Right.
I forget how they phrase it in the film, but they get the smartest, the most athletic, this football player and Nobel Prize winners, and all the people who embody the finest qualities of human beings, at least all of the white men who do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. To contribute to the aforementioned beaker of sperm / milkshake, which is as Danny DeVito refers to it. So they put this together, and I suppose if you know anything about science, you just kind of have to shut off the logic department of your brain.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they impregnate this young woman, a young artist played by a young Heather Graham, making her
Right.
screen debut as Marianne Benedict. And Mary Ann Benedict gives birth. And the first baby that comes out is, they show the baby's being born, and he's, big baby. I mean, the baby they used was probably 6 months old, but
Right.
like calm, quiet, collected. But then there was another baby that came out who was
It's all
acting much more
crying.
acting like a normal baby.
Right.
But so this turns out to be Julius, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Vincent, played by Danny DeVito. And Julius is brought to this island with one of the scientists. This is another weird, twisted part about it.
Sure. Yeah. Just to like be raised in seclusion, like just reading and studying and learning languages and all this stuff. I don't understand what the purpose was for this person, because it seemed like at a certain point they're just like, all right, go do your thing.
Yeah, and I want to get into that in a moment, because it's really it's strange, because it's like, did you keep him there to like cultivate him before unleashing him on the world? Like, what did you do? But it doesn't seem like there was really any plan. It just
not at
seems
all.
like this scientist was like, you know what? I would love to take a baby boy to an island and try to and raise him.
I got
guess.
nothing else going on for the next 35 years.
Yeah, why not? So the movie kind of kicks off there here with Arnold's on the island, and he's told about this experiment, and is intrigued by the idea that he has a brother out there somewhere, and in his mind it's another him.
Right.
And so he does what really anyone would do, and he rows 40 miles, I think it is, to the nearest island.
The visual of him rowing on that little raft where it's like
so funny.
zooming across the ocean is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. It's fantastic. And it's, you just see it's all this fish out of water. He's in a plane for the first time and hears rock music for the first time.
Well, if you want to call yakety yak rock music.
And I mean, to him it was, if he had only
Sure.
been listening, I'm assuming he was raised on classical there on the island. So Julius goes to find Vincent. Vincent is just kind of the ultimate screw up. He has multiple businesses, I guess.
He's just kind of a career criminal. But it's all under the guise of Vincent Benedict Incorporated, which, according to his office door, lists him as a sports agent, artist representative, import-export, automobile sales, rental leasing, and wholesale patio furniture, which comes back when we go to his house and you just see all of his furniture as patio furniture.
That's right. And yeah. So he's in debt. He's being hunted down by these guys, the Klain brothers, who are like loan sharks, and he owes them all this money. He has this kind of arrangement with the attendant at the local airport parking garage, played by David Caruso.
Yeah.
Pre-NYPD Blue.
Right.
And so David Caruso, like whenever there's, I guess, a nice car that would be a good thing to steal and bring to a chop shop, David Caruso calls Vincent, and Vincent comes over. So, he's in prison. So he's in prison when Julius finds him.
He's in prison because he is getting a parking ticket, and they check his license, and it's expired. So he gets tossed in jail. So I'm sure there's more to it than that. I don't know.
Oh,
seems.
But actually, when we meet Vincent, though, he's having sex with some woman during the day, and her husband comes home.
Yeah. hi, honey, I'm home.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's apparently major womanizer.
Sure. Yeah, not a good guy. Anyway, yeah, so Julius finds him in prison because he was tipped off by a nun at the orphanage where Vincent was, saying if you want to try to find him, best place to look is jail.
Right.
And sure enough, that's where he is.
You know who plays the nun? I never realized this before. So her actress by the name of Frances Bay,
Okay.
who was in she played Happy Gilmore's grandma in Happy Gilmore.
Oh, right.
And also was in David Lynch's Wild at Heart. I'm pretty sure that's the movie where I first really noticed her. But it was just funny to see her in that's who
I didn't realize that was her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he finds him in prison. We don't have to go through every beat of the movie, but basically they have this weird connection that helps them find each other. They have this serious twintuition, and they end up both dating sisters who Vincent has a history with. It's just this whole thing, and basically the real plot moving forward is that a car that Vincent steals has this engine in it that's worth $5 million. So he is bringing it to Houston.
$5 million.
Yeah, to collect his reward for the stolen engine that he has. And on the way, they are all going to go to New Mexico to try to find their mother, Marianne. And
they had all been told all this time. Vincent was just in an orphanage. They had all been told. The mother was told that the babies died.
Right.
The babies were told that the mother died.
Right.
So, or not, obviously not when they were babies.
Not babies, yeah.
No, but the kids, Julius and Vincent, were told that their mother died. So all of this is a revelation. And, because Julius finds one of their fathers.
Yeah, which I thought would have been a bigger moment.
It's kind of this weird thing that's forgotten, and Vincent really just doesn't care. And
no,
by the way, and this guy who's 1/6 his biological father has, was a famous football player and is loaded. So
right, yeah, you think they'd care more.
Missed opportunity.
I mean, it is worth noting that that guy's grandchild is played by Jason Reitman.
Director of
Wonderful
Juno,
director.
Up in the Air.
Yeah.
Thank You for Smoking.
He's a wonderful director. Going to be doing the new Ghostbusters.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
fantastic director.
So it's funny you mentioned the twintuition. One thing I had never noticed before was the brilliance of the song that plays over the ending credits.
Oh my God.
The Little Richard Philip Bailey collaboration. The lyrics are it starts with "What happened to you? Hey, I could feel it." I feel like I've never heard a song specifically about twintuition before, but the lyrics to this are amazing.
I was planning on playing the 2 Live Crew Yakety Yak that was done for this movie at the end of this episode, but I might do that song instead.
Oh, it's when you're twins, the magic just never ends. If one day is good, then 2 is better.
It's so crazy because that's the thing where it's like, growing up, I never processed the fact that they did have this psychic connection. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Julius finds Vincent in Houston, Texas, using nothing but just guessing.
Yeah.
And he finds him in the most random, factory parking lot
at the perfect time.
Just the right moment.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that no one talks about with this movie.
No, I mean, it's pretty absurd. You have to really suspend your disbelief if you're above, if you're over 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't have these logic problems with it. I was 11 when I saw it. So when I saw it for the first time. But
so so basically, when they go to New Mexico, they go to the artist colony where they are told their mother lives. The woman there says that Marianne Benedict has died, and it turns out that that is her, but she thought that they were people trying to buy the land to build a golf course on it. So she just kind of shoos them away until she sees the newspaper article, and I think like USA Today at the end, that's about
the front page of USA Today.
Sure, slow news day. So these two brothers who retrieved a stolen engine, like I don't know what the thing is, and then that's what she was like.
It was like a super powerful, like it was a really powerful jet engine.
Yeah. So then they're such good people, they can't possibly be trying to buy that land. They were telling the truth all along. And she goes to find them, and they go, "Mama."
But I love how the headline is like, "Twins return stolen jet engine." I mean, I know it wasn't, a new breaking news headline every 5 minutes like it is today.
Yeah.
But 1988 was not that slow.
I also feel like that headline should have been like, "Stolen jet engine recovered," but wait, there's way more.
Right.
Like,
And maybe not USA
the
Today.
people who found it. Yeah, it's like, and it turns out that the people who found it are the products of a weird genetic experiment gone half completely right and half completely wrong. Like, that's the whole
You're
other
gonna
story
sell
that
more
they're missing
papers
there.
with that.
I know. Come on. So anyway, that's so Twins. There's always been the rumor and talks, and I think that like there's probably, I think actually Josh Gad is the writer on a script for Twins 3, in which they discover that there's a third played by Eddie Murphy.
Oh, is it not being called Triplets?
Called Triplets, whatever. But my issue with that is that in Twins, they say, yes, the embryo split into two. Like, they had every opportunity to mention this. I don't know, that there was
not to
a
mention,
third.
Well, yeah, and they show and I understand it's like, yes, you could cover that up. You could, say like, "Oh, yeah, well, we didn't." But then it's like, then what's the message? "Oh, we didn't tell you about the black guy?"
Yeah.
Like, where did he go?
Right.
I mean, unless he ended up as Billy Ray Valentine in Philadelphia, it doesn't.
It just doesn't make any. I know that this movie is a fantasy movie essentially, but like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree with you 100%.
There are, however, other ways to go about revisiting this property.
Oh, absolutely. Agreed.
What are your thoughts on that subject?
Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart.
Okay.
They are, I mean, look, and first of all, I'm going to throw this out there, because Kevin Hart is a controversial person.
Not a good guy.
And right, not someone, right. But I feel like if he's going to move forward, if he's going to continue to have a career and be successful, if he can kind of somehow make it right for saying some or tweeting some pretty awful things, or I guess one really awful thing. Yeah, but in a world where we can accept Kevin Hart in movies again, Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson are, they're friendly. They've teamed up before, and I think they have great chemistry. Did you see Central Intelligence?
I did not, because I don't want to watch Kevin Hart. I love The Rock, love Dwayne Johnson, but I just can't watch Kevin Hart.
I mean, yeah, it's too bad because Central Intelligence was actually a pretty. I didn't expect anything out of it, and I thought it was pretty good and pretty charming. So yeah. So I guess if we're pitching this in the real world we live in right now, Kevin Hart might not be the best choice.
So I mean, I definitely the first obvious thought is The Rock, but I took it in a bit of a different, and this is if we are doing a reboot or remake.
I'm thinking, remake.
Yeah, my thought would have been Chris Hemsworth and Jonah Hill.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy watching the two of them.
You know, you could get some great humor. So if you let Chris Hemsworth be Australian and say that he was an Australian, because I feel like there's just this thing about Australians being hot.
You know what? He's also really funny. Like
he is.
He's really good at doing comedy. And obviously Jonah Hill is. And, I was thinking about it, and it's like the reason why they picked Danny DeVito is just because he looks and acts that certain way. He's so much smaller. And I was like, well, do we really have to be going like the small route? I mean, it's more just the characteristics, the fast talking, which, I mean, Kevin Hart definitely has that too. Kevin Hart's also significantly shorter, so there's that. But like, it's really an attitude thing. Yeah, they have to look different enough, but like, they don't necessarily. There's only one Danny DeVito, right? And that's so the obvious choice to be the opposite of an Arnold Schwarzenegger type. And I mean, you said it earlier that the premise is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito are twins. I believe that, well, the lore is that the pitch for this movie was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito are twins, and it was sold based on that. And I mean, it works, even though it's a crazy bananas movie. It works because of those people, and it proved. I mean, it's not like Arnold did much comedy in it. It just wasn't action. I mean, right. He fought people, so it could be argued that like he still did kind of his Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, but he was just a friendly guy.
He was what he did was play very naive, very childlike.
Right.
So opposite any of his other roles.
Yeah.
Up to this point. And he, like, that innocence, the glee when they're doing, like, during the car scene, when he's driving the convertible, when he picks up the phone in the car. I mean, and that's like talking.
This is Vincent's car.
Yeah. When you're talking about remakes, sometimes it's important to think about what sequences, what scenes, what aspects of the original are you going to keep? And I feel like having a Julius, it doesn't have to be Julius and Vincent. You can call him whatever you want, but
sure.
Your Julius having been raised in some remote location without any technology or now internet, and then now he comes into the world that we have now, and it's even more bewildering.
Right.
So, and I think
it could also be fun to, or just set it in 1988.
Yeah, but then that's been done. I mean, like, I think you can. I think updating it makes just as much sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I also had a thought for a prequel.
A prequel, okay.
Vincent Benedict Incorporated. He's got so many stories that we don't even know about.
Sorry, at the beginning, just as you were starting to say that, you kind of had that Danny DeVito thing going. I thought you were going to go into an impersonation.
No, not at all. I would never
Charlie.
even dare. We know that at 12 years old, he slept with a nun at the orphanage. So that's interesting. He has his business where he is a sports agent, artist representative.
I'm sorry, John. I don't think the nun. I don't think the Catholic nun sleeping with a 12-year-old is going to get greenlit these days.
All I'm
not
saying
as a comedy.
is, look,
this is not
canon.
Spotlight Part 2.
Dan, it's canon. It happened. I want to know about this wholesale patio furniture scheme that he's got going on.
Well, now there's something to talk about. There's something to dig into.
But Vincent Benedict Incorporated.
Well, I thought your prequel would go back to this experiment and these doctors coming up with this idea, and one of them definitely doesn't the one who what is his accent? The doctor who raises Julius.
I want to say that I don't know where he's from originally, but I felt like he was trying to do he was doing an Austrian accent just to like make it make sense that Arnold Schwarzenegger has his accent. So
this movie theoretically has an Austrian doctor in the late 80s who at this point, or who would have been, definitely old enough to have been a Nazi.
Sure.
Let's just cut to the point here.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make the perfect human, and
if we're talking about things that are problematic.
Whoa, hey, there's a prequel.
That's very interesting.
What if this was like an experiment that he was like trying to make happen, and then, oops, we lost the war.
Yeah.
And and of course, a lot of like German scientists were then hired by the United States government.
Yeah,
so
they did say it's an American experiment.
Sense.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So one other thing that this has nothing to do with prequels, sequels, or reboots or remakes, but okay, Heather Graham plays the mother 35 years ago, we'll say.
Yeah.
It's been 31 years, 30 years since this movie came out. What does Heather Graham look like? Pretty much the exact same thing. What does the woman that is playing their mother look like? That's like the 35 years later, an old lady. That's bananas. She shouldn't look that old. Well, I mean, I know that Heather Graham is an anomaly.
Well, Heather Graham should probably look that old.
Probably not that old. That looked like an old lady.
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with Heather Graham for a while, so I don't know what she's been up to. She was awesome in Boogie Nights.
She's just great. I did have an idea for a sequel, unless you have anything else to add for this.
No, I think I agree. I like the remake idea is where I'd go with this. As far as casting goes, yeah, I like the Chris Hemsworth, Jonah Hill. I'd also be down for like exploring other options and different ways to go. Or
maybe and I know we've talked about them before a lot, but maybe it's Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy.
Well, that was kind of one of the other things I was thinking about, actually, was, I mean, not to, and I feel like it's always like, well, let's have a diverse cast, or now let's have, like as a gimmick, but not, it's not a gimmick. It's like, it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So,
it's fraternal twins. It could be Chris Hemsworth and Melissa McCarthy. I just think Melissa McCarthy would be awesome.
Chris Hemsworth and Melissa McCarthy might actually be really funny.
Yeah. For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Julia and Vincent.
Right. My other idea is a sequel, and okay, it's 30 years later, and Julius and Vincent have been solving crimes using their twin tuition. But now they have
Are they
to
the
like
Wonder Twins?
look, it's canon that they've got this like weird psychic ability.
That's
Why are
true.
we not focusing on this more?
They both
So
scratch their ass the same way.
They absolutely do at the same exact time. And those are facts. It's canon. So we are 30 years from when Twins takes place. They've been solving crimes using their twin tuition, but now they have to solve like some big major crime. Maybe it's involving one of their two sets of twins that they have.
Well, at that
maybe
point, all those twins could have twins.
They could have a whole colony of people, just like the Benedicts, all over the place.
Twin Nation.
So maybe they're even trying to solve the like war crime, like the mystery of the war crimes of the doctor who created them in the first place. I don't know. While we're talking about it.
So at a certain point, it would just be funny if the movie opens and it's Julius and Vincent sitting across from each other, and it's all after all these years later, and Vincent just looks up and goes, "Wait a second, that doctor was a Nazi.
Yeah.
You're a Nazi experiment."
Yeah. And yeah.
Vincent, what do you mean?
How am I only just realizing this now? So, yeah, Julius travels back in time and using...
He has to do it naked, though.
He has to... Right. There's, like, crazy electricity all over the place, and he's, like, in a crouched position.
Yeah.
And then...
He's got to go steal someone's clothes.
But he gets lost in time, and then Vincent has to find him using the twin tuition.
How is Vincent going to travel? Are we sending Vincent through naked as well?
Look, I'm just spitballing here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what you're saying is that Julius has the ability to do it because he's read books.
Hold on a second. Wait. Have we checked if Twins is in the Marvel Universe? Because they could easily hook up with Bill and Ted.
I don't believe it is.
I don't think there was a comic book adaptation.
It's a Universal picture. And I believe that... Was Bill and Ted Universal?
No, Bill and Ted was Orion originally.
Orion.
But I think it's MGM.
Which is MGM. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. No, we can't bring this one into the Marvel universe, unfortunately.
Wait, hold on. Universal, Back to the Future.
Oh, which we'll talk to at some point. We'll talk about at some point.
Yeah. No, I don't.
So
where does he get stuck? Do we know where he gets stuck in time?
I don't know. I'm not writing this whole thing right now. That's up to Josh Gad.
We've gone this far.
Yeah. So, other things that happen in Twins, he walks past a poster for Rambo 3, which came out, was it like summer of 88?
Summer 88, yeah.
Yeah. And which Twins beat in the box office that year narrowly. I think that it was pretty close.
Oh, Rambo 3, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because Arnold, he stands in front of the Rambo 3 poster and he, like, flexes his muscle and he laughs at the Schwarzenegger thing. And
oh, yeah.
It occurred to me throughout, the heydays of their careers, Arnold definitely did more throwing of shade at Sly than Sly did at Arnold. Not until Demolition Man did Sly throw some shots.
So I remember in Last Action Hero, there was definitely some shade thrown.
It was the poster of Terminator 2 with Stallone as the Terminator.
Right. Which is so good. It's a good gag. I like it.
Arnold, and Arnold goes on about how good he is in it.
Right.
It's too bad Last Action Hero. It has one of my favorite. I love the Jack Slater catchphrase. It was a big mistake.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really like that movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's not a very good movie, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had trouble. Last time I tried watching it, I had trouble, but I didn't have it. Really didn't with Twins. I enjoyed revisiting Twins.
I feel like in my most recent viewing of it, which was yesterday, it was mostly just like, I can't believe I never picked up on that before, or like, I don't know.
I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes score was surprisingly low,
very low.
Though
Yeah.
it got good reviews from some top critics. Roger Ebert really liked it.
That's surprising.
I know, I was surprised at that as
Yeah.
well. But it speaks to, when I think about the like really, I don't want to say significant directors of the 1980s, but really the directors that made the movies that we remember, that we really remember fondly in the 1980s, that aren't the Martin Scorseses and Francis Ford Coppola's and Steven Spielberg's.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
And these, I mean, directors who never were nominated for Oscars, really. Like Ivan Reitman. Richard Donner is another one that comes to mind as just one of those directors who I feel like don't get the recognition they deserve for what they contributed.
Right.
So, and Ivan Reitman, I mean, he, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Did he direct Stripes?
I believe so. He did Meatballs also.
He did Meatballs. He produced Animal House.
Right.
But, I mean, Ivan Reitman had a really, like, just hit after hit after hit.
And you know what other hit he produced? Jason Reitman.
That's he did produce Jason Reitman. Good job, Ivan. Yeah, no, and Jason Reitman, is outstanding director.
We've already talked about that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
So I feel like when we're talking about Twins in terms of sequels, prequels, reboots, remakes, my vote would definitely be for a sequel. Arnold Schwarzenegger really hasn't done much acting lately that has stood out. He's made a lot of interesting choices, but nothing that's really popped.
He's got another Terminator coming out.
Yeah, but like,
I don't even remember. The last one, the Terminator. We'll talk about Terminator another time.
Terminator Genesis, I enjoyed. I thought it was fine, but like, and he was in that. That's like the last big movie that I can think of.
That I mean, Expendables.
Yeah,
Expendables
but like
2 and 3.
Yeah, but
those are fun. I like the Expendables movies.
Sure, but like something fun, he hasn't really.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice to see him do a comedy. Yeah, and something.
Yeah.
Something fun like this. Yeah, I don't know though if I could get on board with a sequel.
Really, at all?
No, I like a sequel that picks up the story 30 years later. I just find it hard to. It's so based on that concept that I feel like, how are you going to make a sequel? I don't see how this story really continues. I think a remake would be fine. I think a Twins for this generation would be great.
The thing, though, is that the story, the plot of the movie is kind of meandering, where it's kind of like, okay, is the focus that they're trying to find their mother, or that they're trying to reconnect, or is the focus really on Vincent's, schemes? And and his relationships.
But a remake could clean that up.
Yeah, totally.
A remake could actually be an improvement in a lot of ways, except for the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito. One thing I would have to insist on is keeping the name Beetroot McKinley.
Beetroot McKinley. That's right.
Beetroot.
How they chose that name is amazing. I have no idea how that happened.
No, I don't.
It's so good.
I would love to know.
That's the name of the guy in Houston who's gonna buy this stolen jet engine.
Yeah. So I would definitely keep that. And there's a lot of things that you could keep and that you could even, I think, improve on.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing, the other movie, I guess, reference that's in this is that the movie that's playing at the Chinese theater when Arnold walks past it is Willow, which we did talk about that last time, right?
I want to say last time we talked about the potential of a Willow Part 2.
Which would be exciting. I mean, I haven't watched Willow since I was a kid, so
it's been a long time. I mean, I think when you're in the realm of fantasy and sci-fi, for some reason, I feel like with fantasy, there's always it's less far-fetched to create a sequel for something like Willow or add to the story of Willow but 30-something years later.
Twins is a fantasy movie. They have psychic powers. You can't overlook this.
You got me there. I mean, it is really, if you think about the concept, it really is sci-fi fantasy.
Julius flies to Houston.
In a plane, though. He doesn't...
Oh, no. That's true.
We're not that far into fantasy.
He takes a flight to Houston.
Now, that would be the perfect human.
To find his brother using nothing. And he finds him. Houston is a big city. And he finds him.
He's also driving the only giant convertible with steer horns on the hood.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there's a montage of him standing and thinking and then going, that's right, I'm going to go this way now. Like, what
if they're recruited by the X-Men? Oh, wait, they're not in the Marvel Universe. Shit, sorry.
Yeah. That would be Fox.
Disney. Soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Jeez. But nope, wrong cinematic. This is the Reitman cinematic universe.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. So I'm trying to think if there's I feel like any rebooty, remakey stuff that's been in the news lately. There's been a couple of things that are being adapted to television.
I'm chuckling at the idea of the Reitman cinematic universe, and that like the most realistic film in that universe would be probably Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Or Meatballs.
Yeah, even Stripes is a little out there.
Far-fetched. Yeah, but all right, so remake, so any sequel news, remake news, new trailer for Aladdin, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I don't know if we really need to talk about that one again.
No, but what I didn't realize though was that Guy Ritchie was directing the Aladdin remake.
Huh. I didn't realize that.
Which I'm not the world's biggest Guy Ritchie fan, but it does give me a moment's pause of thinking that could work. The style.
There is a new Charlie's Angels reboot coming about.
Oh, that's awesome. The perfect movie to reboot for the Me Too era. Let's see. Oh, Elizabeth Banks is directing it.
Which I'm totally okay with.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's fantastic.
She directed, it was Pitch Perfect 3 her directorial debut?
I think so.
Yeah, and I like those Pitch Perfect movies. So, but yeah, Elizabeth Banks is really talented. So, yeah, I'm interested to know more about this.
So with Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, Jaimin Hunsu is Bosley. Okay. Oh, Naomi Scott is in Aladdin. She's
Okay,
Jasmine.
there you go.
So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty much the biggest news in the reboot world.
I think so. Yeah, I haven't. There's nothing else really that's on my radar right now.
Yeah. But let's talk about what our next episode's going to be.
On the next episode, we are going to be talking about Gremlins.
It's a wonderfully bizarre duo of movies.
Yeah, Gremlins and the sequel, Gremlins 2, and the new batch.
Yeah.
So
I watched Gremlins 2 recently. It's so crazy.
I actually am pretty sure you have my copy of it.
That sounds about right.
Maybe
I'll revisit the first Gremlins, which is that a Christmas movie?
So it's set at Christmas, but I think it came out over the summer.
Well,
we're gonna get
is it
into
a movie that takes place? I don't know. Just wondering.
Well, it was a summer release. It'll be celebrating its 35th anniversary this June. So, but we'll, so Gremlins 1984 and Gremlins 2 1990.
And for if anybody is preparing for the next episode, and you're going to be watching Gremlins and Gremlins 2, before you watch Gremlins 2, you need to watch the Key and Peele sketch about coming up with the Gremlins for Gremlins 2. I'd say watch that before.
I can't. I mean, because I had already seen Gremlins 2 long before Key and Peele existed, so I'm trying to imagine what it would be like seeing that sketch and then watching the movie versus if you know nothing about Gremlins 2, watch the sketch but then watch the movie right after.
Yeah, like immediately after. It's such a good sketch.
Yeah, and then watch the sketch again after the movie.
Yes, immediately after. That's your homework.
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk about it. Gremlins.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for suggesting we do this podcast because I really enjoyed talking about twins.
Yeah, I mean, and when else are you going to spend about an hour talking about twins and pretty much nothing but?
Literally no other time in my life.
No, unless I decide to take an entire class period at school and give a breakdown of twins, which I could. I'm like, I teach language arts. We could really break down this screenplay and find all the holes. But
oh man, don't waste everybody's time doing that.
So no, that's okay. That's why we have the podcast, so I can get it out of my system here. But thanks for joining me again, John, and congrats again on the award. And you got the award on your birthday. That's awesome.
That's true. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was a big surprise.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll have some big surprises when we talk about Gremlins.
I don't know.
I don't know.